Hello beautiful people, and welcome to the channel Life After Narc. My name's Debbie and I discuss things to do with narcissistic, toxic and abusive relationships. I look at this from my own perspective as being a survivor of 2 narcissistic relationships. I just want to remind everybody that this video is for entertainment and information purposes only. And if you do need help, please seek help from a professional, a doctor, a GP, one of the authorities if you need to, and make sure that you are looked after, perhaps even contacting Women's Aid, for example. So today's video is, are you in a relationship with a narcissist? Now, if you're asking that, you may well be. This person may be a narcissist, as in having narcissistic, toxic, abusive traits, but NPD or Narcissistic Personality Disorder should really be diagnosed by a doctor or clinician. Most narcissists who suffer with NPD will probably never be diagnosed because they don't believe they're ill. So if you like the video, please click like, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so that you're notified when I upload another video. I try to upload videos daily. Some days I may miss, it depends on how busy I am. I look at these relationships, as I say, from my own perspective, having been through 2 narcissistic relationships and one of them very physically abusive, and also with a view to helping others, healing others. I've also got some meditation videos on here if you'd like to have a look at those as well. I'd love your thoughts and your feedback in the comments below. And anything that I'm talking about today, if you've experienced anything different or anything additional, I'd love to hear about those as well. So, are you in a relationship with a narcissist? As I said, if you're asking yourself this question, you probably are in a relationship with somebody who is toxic or abusive. And I'm going to have a look at some of the traits of the narcissist, and I'm looking first of all at the 9 traits that are listed in the DSM-4, which is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual used by psychiatrists and psychologists to diagnose patients with NPD. So number 1, they have an inflated sense of self-importance and entitlement. They believe that they are more important than everybody else and they should receive better treatment than everybody else. For example, this is the kind of person who would get on a plane and expect to be bumped up to first class. It's the kind of person who would get on a plane and want to swap places with people to sit on the aisle or the window seat, perhaps. It's the kind of person who would expect to be served first in a bar or in a restaurant. They would expect good service from the waiting staff, and if the waiting staff don't give them that service, they can be quite nasty and abusive. And having worked in that profession myself in the past, I can say that I have experienced this, and those people tend to be the ones that flash the cash. They'll treat people with disdain. For example, cashiers at a cash register, people that they think have a lower job than they do. And I've also worked in that environment in my life as well, and I have experienced it, and it's not very nice. You'll find that people that are not narcissistic, that have empathy, such as yourself and me, will speak to the cashier at the till as if they are a friend. I always make a conversation with them when I'm in the supermarket. I just think it's polite, and it's a difficult job. It may not sound it, but it really is a difficult job. I'm going to link a video below to my Covert Narcissistic series. The inflated sense of self-importance is often more of a grandiose narcissist than a covert narcissist, although covert narcissists still do have these tendencies. Number 2, they need constant admiration. So basically they need telling all the time, do I look good? Am I beautiful? Do I look nice in these clothes? Am I attractive? And they need this constant admiration from others. So, for example, they may well be on social media and expect to receive a certain amount of likes for a video that they produce, or perhaps on a photograph that they put up. And if they don't receive it, they may get very upset about it. They will constantly ask you, do you love me? Because they want that validation from you that you love them, you worship them. They want to be up on a pedestal. And they will lavish you with gifts at first, possibly very expensive gifts in the love bombing phase. And this is so that you put them up on that pedestal. You think, oh, wow, this man is so amazing, and he buys me all these wonderful gifts. And again, that is to inflate their sense of ego and their self-importance around you, that admiration that they constantly crave. They may also be a really good lover sexually. Their sexual prowess may be amazing. And they will want that validation again in sex. They will want to know that they are giving you the most orgasms that you've ever had, that they are the best looking that you've ever had, and so on. On the other hand, there may also be a narcissistic trait where the person is perhaps not that interested in sex. They may feel that they lack in that area, so they won't engage so much in that sexual need area. I have had that commented on a few videos before as well, and a few people have mentioned it to me. So it's normally one extreme or the other, although generally speaking, they tend to be quite sexually oriented. A lot of them are also addicted to pornography, to perhaps engage in their own sexual fantasies and try and bring them into your love life. I'm going to talk about that in a moment, though. Number 3, they expect special treatment. And as I said, this could be, I remember working at a bar. I was bar staff, and the locals would always expect to be served first, and they would bang their glasses on the bar. And it's first come, first serve. That's the way it is. You know, no special treatment for, yes, these guys come into the bar every day, but, you know, people who come up to the bar are first in line. So I always used to go along the bar and say, yes, please, yes, please, yes, please, you know, with the people that were stood there. And if the person who was a regular and was banging his glass on the bar was getting impatient, well, tough. They just have to wait. But that's the kind of people that they are. They expect to be served first. They expect special favors as well, especially around sex. They may ask for things that you wouldn't normally do. Again, it's your choice. I'm not judging anybody here, but they may want you to do things that perhaps you don't feel comfortable with. Now, I do want to say that if that is the case, this person is possibly a sexual predator, and it is sexual abuse. So if you do not feel comfortable, and if you say no, no means no. And if they do take advantage of that, I would strongly suggest that you seek Women's Aid to help you through this. Women's Aid generally have a list of questions that they will ask you about this person in your life, and they will make it clear to you which areas you should look at. So number 4, exaggerating achievements or talent. They will think they are the absolute best at everything and know everything about absolutely everything, even if they know nothing about that subject. It's an overinflated sense of ego. They tend to believe that they have this, humongous knowledge of things around them. And they may well be a well-read, well-rounded person. But for example, talking to an artist, they may well think they know better than that artist. Or to a musician, they may well think they play their instrument better. They may well say things such as, oh yes, I drove that car, but I found this car to be better. And, it's relative, isn't it? It's not better or not. It is, a car gets you from A to B. But they will always try to outdo the next person, try to be better than, oh, I live in a bigger home. Oh, I have had this experience. Let's say perhaps it's a skydiver, and this narcissistic person will say, well, I've jumped out of a plane at 20,000 feet. Meanwhile, it was a tandem jump. They do embellish themselves, make themselves look better than they actually are. Number 5, reacting negatively to criticism. Now, this can be this can lead to a trauma event, a tantrum event with the narcissist, and it can be quite disconcerting when it does happen, or if it does happen. I'm going to give you an example. My narcissistic ex, decided to paint the house inside, and he bought a big can of paint, and he was saying to me as I walked past him, he said to me, "This paint's rather thin." And I said, "Well, have you stirred it? Because all the sediment falls to the bottom in paint cans when it's been sat on a shelf." "No." I said, "Well, did you read the instructions? Did it say on the instructions to stir it?" "No, I don't remember seeing that." So I went about my business. I thought, oh, well, obviously he knows what he's doing. And later on, I found a wooden stick outside that he'd used to stir the paint. So he had then gone and read the instructions. But this is the thing. They will think that they know what they're doing without actually checking. My ex also asked me to proofread a covering letter for him for a job application that he was making. And I said, okay, I'll proofread. I used to work at a print firm. And I responded to him and said, okay, I think this paragraph here, you repeat a word a couple of times, perhaps soften this paragraph. And he would get so upset and angry that I'd pointed this out to him. Ultimately, it's their choice. If they decide to go ahead with that, that's their choice. I also used to work in a design and print firm, and I remember one day one of the designers that worked there it was a flyer that I was proofing, and he'd spelt one of the words incorrectly. So I took it back to him and said, look, I need to send this proof to the client, but this word is spelt incorrectly. Would you mind amending it before I send it? And he shouted at me and said, it's not spelt incorrectly and blah, 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 blah. You must send it anyway. And I said to him, but me sending it shows that I'm not intelligent and you're not intelligent, and you're just going to have to redo it anyway. So I left the job on his desk to do. I refused to send it because, it wasn't my error. It was his error, but he didn't want to accept it as being his error. And this is the narcissistic traits. They don't want to accept that they've done something wrong. They want everybody else to be at fault. They want to blame everybody else. Number 6, being preoccupied with fantasies about power, success, and beauty. Now, narcissists crave admiration from people for their looks, for the way they dress, for their hair, for their stature, their demeanor. And they often have fantasies about who they actually are in life, in their job, in their personal world. For example, they may well be reporting to a manager and think that, well, I can do a better job than this person. Meanwhile, they haven't had the training that this manager has had. Perhaps this manager has had training in business, and the person who is narcissistic has not had that training, but they still think they can do a better job. And they believe this. They actually really do believe that they can do a better job without having that experience. They like to be the big man. They like to be and believe that they should be in charge of their job, that they are good at what they do, that no matter, they know everybody in town, they know everybody in business, and they are the best at what they do. And they will point out if you're wrong. And on a small mistake, perhaps you do something wrong, and they will point it out and go, you made this mistake here, this is what you did wrong, you need to fix this. It also goes for the aging narcissist as well. They will want you as supply, but they will want to have further supply. So, for example, the relationship gets older, the partners get older looking, myself, for example, and the partner decides, I want somebody younger and better looking than this person. I don't want to be with this person anymore. And off they go, finding and looking for somebody who is more youthful, who's more vibrant, who has, you can look at Playboy, Hugh Hefner for this kind of thing. that he was always looking for something younger. He would have been a grandiose narcissist. And they're very superficial. They want to have the woman on their arm that really accentuates their prowess and look what I can do, look what I can get. If you point out that they're wrong about something as well, they will get very upset, very angry, and have this temper tantrum that they do. I remember my narcissistic ex, when we first got together, I had quite a good standing in the community, I would say. I'm a minister, a yoga instructor, a Reiki master, various other diplomas and degrees that I have, and had a very large group of friends from all different types and areas of my life. And he was coming from a very different background, a very abusive background, to say. I was his supply. He moved into a beautiful home. He had everything he needed. He didn't need to buy furniture. He didn't need to buy electronic appliances. He had everything. And I looked after him for the first 5 years. And then for the second 5 years of our marriage, I became unwell. And then my father became ill and I was not able to work. And he accused me of, when he left, of living off of him and not pulling my weight. And I thought, it's just so wrong. It's give and take in a relationship. So if you think that your partner is taking from you and not giving you back, then you are most likely in a toxic relationship. So really have a think about these issues here and see, where do these fit in your life, in your relationship? The next point, number 7, taking advantage of others. Oh, and they will. They will take whatever they can from other people. As I say, they will use your money, your home, your car. And my next, when we started going out and when we were eventually married, didn't have a car, didn't drive. So I used to take him everywhere. He didn't have transport to work. So I would get up at ridiculous o'clock in the morning, take him to work, go pick him up. Then later on, I would take him again to work early in the morning, pick him up late at night. And sometimes I would get thanks, but other times not. But then there was also a time when his grandma was very ill. And I would give him and his family lifts to the hospital, which was quite a way away. And not once did I receive a thank you or petrol money from any of the family, which I felt was a little bit unfair, but I would do that for people because they had a dying relative. But it's never given back. As I say, they will take and take and take and never give back. They're the sort of person who will eat the last cupcake on the plate without asking, does anybody else want this cupcake, or sharing it with anybody else. They are selfish. They are selfish individuals, selfish beings. They will watch what they want on TV without asking you. They will perhaps put too much garlic into a dish and say this is the way they like it. They will never say sorry. They will never actually say sorry. It will always be a sorry but. Whereas you and I might say something like, I'm very sorry about that. I'll try not to do that again. I'm sorry I hurt you. The narcissist or toxic person will say, I'm sorry, but, and there will always be a but afterwards, which creates that negativity. It's gaslighting. It is a form of gaslighting. And it's unfair. But they don't admit their faults. They won't admit that they're wrong. Number 8. An inability or unwillingness to recognize the needs and feelings of others. They have no empathy. They don't consider your needs and feelings in anything or any decision that they make. I'm going to link another video below called The Funeral of the King, a fairy tale. And it's a fairy story about the king who dies, and Princess Rose is married to Prince Thorn, and Princess Rose has to take care of everybody at the funeral. And not once does Prince Thorn on that day ask how Princess Rose is doing. Does she need any help? He doesn't offer to get her a plate of food. He doesn't hug her. He doesn't get her a drink. He completely ignores her while she is going through possibly the worst day of her life. So have a listen to that video. You may enjoy it. As I say, I will link it below. But he also, my next left straight after the King's funeral. And I got home and he'd gone. This was after a few days of being at my mother's, taking care of her. But I got home and he'd gone. And he told me that I had no empathy after spending pretty much 4 months caring for my father. As he was in palliative care, he decided that he wanted to pass at home. And I said to him, well, we'll make that happen, Dad. He didn't want to be in a hospital. And that was fine. He'd been in hospital so many times over the last 2 years for various illnesses that he'd had, heart failure, liver cancer, kidney failure, and so on. And he was sick of hospitals, and he decided, no, he wanted his family around him. And he had a very peaceful, beautiful death with all of us around him. Number 9, they behave in an arrogant manner. Oh my goodness, my ex used to be so arrogant. He thought he was the bee's knees. They want the best of everything. You'll find that they probably drive a fancy car that they can't afford, that they wear clothing that they can't afford. The home they live in is bigger than they, should actually be able to afford. And this generally goes for the more grandiose narcissist, but the covert narcissist can also be arrogant around themselves. Again, thinking that they know better than everybody else, that they have this knowledge, this secret knowledge that nobody else has. Now, there are other traits of a narcissist as well, or a toxic relationship, and I'm going to go through some of them. And what I'd like you to do is, if you recognize something that I've spoken about today, please pop comments down below. If you see something that I've not talked about, please pop comments below. It'd be interesting to find out what you've experienced. So other traits of a narcissist include things like petty rivalry within a relationship. They always win. They have to win. You will never win, ever. You'll never win. They will never apologize. They will always win. They will talk over you, and they will use word salad. And they'll gaslight you to win as well. Now, gaslighting is where they make you feel a little bit crazy. They will say something such as, or you will say something such as, oh, next week we're going to my mum's for dinner. And the day before that dinner comes along, you'll remind your ex, we're going for dinner tomorrow at my mum's. You didn't tell me that. Yes, I did. No, you didn't. You're going crazy. You never told me about that. That's gaslighting. You did tell them, but they make you feel crazy and as if you didn't tell them, and you question yourself, did I not tell them? I'm sure I told them. They will do what they want when they want, regardless of what you want or need. So if you want pasta for tea and they want pizza for tea, guess who's going to win? The pizza. If they want to watch a certain program on TV, they will get that certain program, and you will be left on your own, not knowing what to do. They will also sit with their mobile phones. They tend to have a lot of conversations with people that you don't know about. They may say they're playing games or, scrolling through one of the social media channels, but they may well be talking to another supply. If you fall ill and this prevents you from doing something that you had planned to do, for example, you get a head cold and you were supposed to go on a hike, and you say, look, I really am not up to going on a hike today. Can we take a break and do it next week? They will probably get upset and have a temper tantrum. So you will feel guilty and say, okay, all right, I'll do it, I'll go. And you may fall behind on the hike and you may not be able to keep up with their pace, and they'll moan at you, come on, get on with it. You can do this, and so on. Or if you say, no, I'm not going, I'm really not well, they'll be mardy, upset, temper tantrumy all day, and you won't get any help or support from them. But if they're sick, lo and behold, you will have to look after them like a baby. as I said, they want to do what they want when they want. They also have specific routines, and you just have to fall in line with that routine and work yourself around them. They may have specific cups for specific drinks. They may have specific plates for specific foods. They may want their food dishing up on their plate in a specific way. Mine ex did, even to the extent where each cup had to have a different amount of sugar or coffee in because of the size of the cup. And I had to remember all of this, and I did it because it made life easier for me. I wasn't told, oh, you've not made this right, It was just easier to acquiesce to his request. They'll want to watch, as I said, what they want to watch on TV. They'll expect you to understand the tail end of a conversation that they've been having in their head. Now, my ex used to do this often. He would walk into the room and finish a sentence. And I, excuse me, what? He'd say, no, I was just talking about this. I know you weren't. But they will expect you to know what they were talking about. Again, this is a part of gaslighting. It's a part of crazy making. They will also say they're going to do X, Y, and Z. And they'll start on X, Y, and Z, but then they'll end up doing ABC. And while ABC may be something else that you've wanted them to do, perhaps it's a chore around the house, or it could well be something that they've decided to do, you also wanted X, Y, and Z doing, and they confuse it and say, well, I did this instead. Again, gaslighting. You wanted me to, for example, sweep the kitchen floor. Well, I've cleaned down the cupboards instead. And again, it's gaslighting. It's getting out of doing something. It's making you do the thing that they had decided to do. I hope that makes sense. They'll have specific ways of doing things and insist that you do that too. Something simple such as putting jam on a slice of toast. You'll have to put it on how they want it, or you'll have to dish up the food on the plate in the way that they want it, or you'll have to cook the carrots the way that they want them. Stuff what you want. If you want soft carrots, they want hard carrots, you just have to go with them. Otherwise, there comes the narcissistic rage, the temper tantrum. They will emotionally abuse you. They will treat you sometimes like dirt, like you don't matter to them. They will infer that you're not good enough. They may not say that you're not good enough, but they will infer that you're not good enough. And I want you to know that you are good enough, regardless of what that person, that toxic, narcissistic person says in your life. You are good enough. They will try to break your self-worth, your self-confidence. They will bring you feelings of guilt as well. And I used to feel these feelings a lot. When I was ill, I couldn't do certain housework during, certain days I just didn't have the energy or the will to do certain housework. And he would come home from work late in an evening and I would get a glare from him that you've not done this. And I would feel such guilt for not having done that. So it's like walking on eggshells around this person. And they would then go and start doing it and make a big show of it. I've got to do this now. You didn't do it. These people will drain you. They will drain every ounce of your energy, every ounce of money, every little bit of life that you have left in you. They will drain you. Especially when it comes to members of the opposite sex. And if they meet people at work and they start to mix with them, you're left on your own. They may not be having an affair, but they're already setting up the new supply because you are their supply. You supply them with the energy that they need. Some of these signs are subtle, but they're very insidious. They don't care about you at all. They only care about what they want and what you can give. Once you've given everything, they'll leave. They're gone. And my advice to you would be, if you're in this kind of relationship and you can see any similarities here, have a look at planning to leave the relationship. I'm going to be doing a video in the future, how to leave a toxic, abusive, narcissistic relationship and the things that you can look at doing to help yourself get out of them. Believe me, if you can leave the relationship, you'll be much stronger. You'll be in a much better position than if they leave you. If they leave you, it is devastating because they take everything with them. My narcissist, when he left me, walked into the room and said to me, "Oh, and you can have everything." And I thought, well, it's all mine anyway. I bought all this furniture, or it was donated to me, not to you. But he took pieces of cutlery and plates and tea towels and all sorts of weird things that he took. And he actually took some of my things that were gifts from other people, which he hasn't returned, and claims that he doesn't have them, but they're not here. So he's the only person that could have them. So if you leave, sometimes you may want to leave things behind, but stay strong. Know that you are worthy, that you are good enough, and you have no need to feel guilty at all. If you get butterflies in your stomach and you don't want to go home, that means that you're in a relationship that you shouldn't be in. I hope this helps you. I'd love to hear your feedback and comments below and hear your experiences about what you've experienced in a toxic, narcissistic, abusive relationship. Please give the video a like. Please subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell notification icon, as well as share this with your friends, family, whoever you think would benefit from this. And I will see you next time. Blessed be.